duty and opportunity to welcome you all here this morning. We're so delighted to be partnering with the Cultural Landscape Foundation and the Central Park Conservancy on this program. You know, here at the Museum of the City of New York, we're very proud neighbors to Central Park. This came to mind a few years ago when we had a lovely woman, longtime New Yorker, come to the museum for the first time to see an exhibition, and she said, "Oh, what a beautiful show, what a beautiful building, I've never been here before, and you have that beautiful park right across the street." And we said, yes, that's Central Park. And she said, "Really, all the way up here?" So we take care to tell everyone, whenever anybody asks me where the Museum of the City of New York is, I say 104th Street and 5th Avenue on Museum Mile, right across from Central Park's Conservatory Gardens. And then I explain to them what that is, because some of them have never been this far north in the park before. But if you have been, you know that the topic of today's discussion is very germane to our area of the park, what we think of as our area, because of the fantastic landscape of the northern part of the park. We've had the opportunity to be neighbors and partners to the Central Park Conservancy for a long time. And we've done more things together than I can possibly mention, including public programs. And we've also had a long interest as the Museum of the City of New York. If you want to understand what makes New York, New York, you have to think about its parks. Iconically Central Park here, especially here in this location. And so many of the projects that we've done here have explored the relationship between the urban and natural landscapes and why that is so key to understanding the nature of New York City. You know, one of the greenest cities in the country. I think the acreage of parkland per person is I think the highest of any major city. Somebody in Central Park Conservancy, tell me if I'm right there. We've done exhibitions. Recently, we did Legacy, Joel Meyerowitz photographs of the New York City parks. We did Growing and Greening New York, which was about the Plan YC and the future of the city, very much about environmental sustainability, and very importantly, how the parks really provide the lungs for the city and keep it livable in so many ways. Of course, we did Mannahatta. Eric Sanderson, you'll be hearing from soon, which was all about uncovering this natural landscape that still is with us and understanding its role not only in shaping the city in its past, but also going forward into the future. And the programs go on and on. The Greatest Grid, I should mention, which was our hit exhibition from last year, which looked at the Manhattan street grid on the occasion of its 200th anniversary, surprised many people when they saw the plan that was laid out in 1811 that there was no Central Park. There were very few what we would think of as parks at all. And the story of how Central Park became the great exception that proved the rule of the grid, in the sense that the grid proved flexible enough to admit this great exception and still maintain its identity while transforming the identity of the city, was a wonderful revelation for many people. So we look forward to many more collaborations going forward. I want to invite you during the breaks to visit the exhibitions in the museum. There's in case you are as unfamiliar with Staten Island as our visitor to the museum was those years ago with New York, with Manhattan above 96th Street, you can visit Staten Island's From Farm to City exhibition upstairs and learn something about the parks on Staten Island, including Fresh Kills Park, the great park of the 21st century. And also, I know a lot of people are interested in design, landscape architecture here. And on the second floor, we have a small exhibition that we've done with Civitas, which shows the results of an international call for ideas for the East River Esplanade between the 59th Street Ed Koch Bridge and the Triborough/RFK Bridge, that stretch of the East River where there is a place to walk most of the way, but really hasn't been looked at or improved in the ways that would really create access to the waterfront and green spaces. And there's some really provocative, wonderful out-of-the-box ideas from entrants from all over the world about what could be done over there. So there's a lot to lots to see and think about as we think about our parks going forward. We're delighted to be part of this conversation, to provide the venue, and again to really welcome this opportunity to once again work with the Central Park Conservancy and all the great work they do. So now it is my pleasure to turn you over to Lane Addonizio of the Conservancy for the day's proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. It's my pleasure to welcome you all this morning on behalf of the Central Park Conservancy. I really do want to thank Sarah and the museum for hosting us for this conference, and just to echo everything that she said about us being friends, partners, neighbors. We've worked, as you said, so much over the years together, the museum actually and its collections are also an incredible resource for us. In terms of researching the history of Central Park, is so present, obviously really integral to the history of the city, and so this connection is just a great opportunity today to be working together. We're also truly pleased to be collaborating with the Cultural Landscape Foundation on this program, and to have the opportunity to participate with a really terrific group of speakers that they've assembled for us, focused on the park and its woodlands. I want to just say that we have such a great group here, both in terms of our speakers, but in terms of our audience, and I wish I could go through the list, but you'll all, we have several breaks during the day, and I really hope that the conversation will happen not just up here, but out here during the breaks. I did want to at the risk of leaving out way too many people who I should mention just a few people who are here. Glenn Phillips, the Executive Director of the New York City Audubon Society, is here. Glenn. Thank you. Ken Chaya, who, if you have not heard of what we refer to as the tree map of the park, but Ken, a couple of years ago, produced a really incredible, beautiful map that actually depicts almost every tree in the park. I think about 20,000 trees, and we actually have it over here with the books for sale today, is here, and another one of many of us who love the park and who see the park. I did want to also mention one of the reasons we're so thrilled to assemble this group today is that we get to participate, and we have more members of our team here today than I can actually recognize, but I did want to say that we do have Neil Calvanese, who's our Vice President for Operations, and most of our Woodlands crew who do the work on a day-to-day basis of caring for the park's woodlands are here. Sarah Cedar Miller, parks historian and photographer. And really we have people from kind of every facet of our organization so excited for this presentation. So I don't want to speak much longer, but I do want to go through a couple of just housekeeping items, just to kind of go through the schedule of the day. We'll be starting with what we're calling setting the stage, which is giving background. Chris Nolan will speak first, our Vice President for Planning, Design, and Construction, on the woodlands and their history and our role in them. And Charles Birnbaum will follow that with doing what he does so well, I think, which is giving us questions to ask as we go through the day and kind of a lens through which to think about the topic of the day. We will then have a break of about a half hour to use that as an opportunity to meet each other. And when we resume, we will have our first panel, which is our panel of public practitioners with experience in different landscapes with similar issues and questions. And that will be moderated by Eric Sanderson. He'll introduce those panelists. We'll break for lunch, and we'll have about an hour and a half for lunch. We will get our lunch out here in the sort of gallery next to the auditorium, and you have an hour and a half, and it's a beautiful day, and we're across the street from the park. So So please take advantage of that. We didn't want to schedule any kind of long, complicated tours, but we are very close to the North Woods, and there'll be a bunch of us around from the Conservancy who, will be around and see if anybody wants to kind of take short walks, or go on your own, but only if you're fairly confident that you'll find your way back. And then in the afternoon, we will have our second panel, which is our panel of practitioners speaking about work that they've done in landscapes with kind of similar challenges and opportunities as ours. Restrooms are, if you go out through the door and make a left, the restrooms are across from go into the cafe, and it's on your right. And the one other thing I just wanted to say is now is the time to turn off your cell phones. So if you have not turned off the ringers on your cell phones, please make sure to do that. And with that, one other thing that I will just say is as we switch from presentation to presentation, we'll have a very brief interruption, and hopefully it'll be as brief as my dexterity in switching the presentations allows. So just bear with us, and we'll switch presentations and try to keep that really quick. And without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Chris Nolan, Vice President for Planning, Design,